But it's the most hyped game
It's the
of
most
history.
in history, and no, in media history.
Yeah.
No, did I say we're gonna wage war on GTA? Hello, everybody. My name is Tim Guzman, and I am your host. This is my co-host,
Matt Guzman.
and this is the very first episode of Man vs. Screen. Odd name, but we'll explain it. So, what is this thing? I'm sure you guys are wondering that. That's a good question. Man vs. Screen, that's an odd name. And one of the things that me and him both have in common is that we've been playing video games all our lives. Yeah. We've been watching movies all of our lives. And this is something that our parents never really prepared us for. And they couldn't have. This is something that has recently happened to the world, the digital crisis, the crisis that's happening right now.
Yeah, the age that we're in hasn't been seen before. Everything that you want entertainment-wise and much more is at your fingertips every hour of every day. And so that introduces a lot of pressures that I think just aren't being talked about, and temptations and ways to spend your time that our parents and their parents didn't really have to deal with, or didn't have to deal with as much. So we decided we should talk about it and try and provide some guidance and help on the right way to enjoy these types of entertainment.
Yeah, and to be honest, I mean, there is people talking about it, but they're either far extreme to no video games at all, like the boomers, or they're not extreme at all and say, no, video games are great, like the iPad babies in the world, and both are wrong. And we're here to kind of point out and give direction to those that are looking for ways to either get out of that system, how do I get my kid that's addicted to video games inside the real world, but also how do I enjoy video games? How do I enjoy movies the proper way? And yes, there is a biblical way to do it. Exists for is to provide the listener with a biblical compass to navigate the digital world, but be a disciplined steward of what God's given you. And that's pretty much what, to summarize, that's what it's for.
Yeah, and even if you're not a Christian, we are Christians. We think you should be a Christian, but even if you're not, we're still going to provide good tips and guidance for a disciplined approach to entertainment, which I think is very needed because we love video games. We love entertainment. We love fun. And we don't think that gaming in specific is something that you should avoid necessarily. Now, there are some people that should, and we're going to talk about that. But by and large, we don't think that you should avoid video games. We think that just like any form of entertainment, they have their place. Enjoyment has its place. You just have to bracket it right. And that's what we're looking to talk about.
And ultimately, you can abuse anything. And what we're seeing now in the digital landscape is the abuse of digital media. If I drink a lot of milk, I'm going to barf it up or I'm going to die. You know, you can abuse anything you want to, and it's going to be bad for you. And right now, the people that are on the latter side that I discussed earlier, the people that are just fine with video games and the iPad baby, that does hurt them, and that will hurt you. But on the opposite side of the pattern, I think you're missing out on some of life's enjoyment by saying no video games, no movies, no nothing. That's not the case.
Yeah, death by milk. How much milk does that take?
A lot.
That's a lot of milk.
But that's the whole point of abuse.
That's right. Yeah. I think that look, God designed life with fun and enjoyment as part of it, and those are good, righteous things.
Yeah.
But like we've been talking about, you have to do it the right way. And anything that God has created, that God has made, you can take it and use it the wrong way, or use it so much that it becomes wrong.
Yeah.
And so video games is the exact same way. In culture today, I think what we're seeing is the overindulgence into things like that,
Yeah.
especially now if you're a young man without kids. I think this still applies to you, because there are other things that you could pursue doing with your time that would be more beneficial. However, this applies especially to fathers, which we are both
Yes.
fathers, mothers, and also your kids, how you raise your kids and what you allow them to play and how much you allow them to play. All those things make a big impact in your family's life and culture. And so those are the tips and tricks that we're looking to dive into.
And even if you're not a father, you're going to probably be one day. And you could be a woman, you could be a guy that is struggling with video games or spending too much time on them. But so this all applies to you guys, but we need Christian leaders. We need Christian men to stand up and say no to this, because we are leaders. We are leaders in the household. And what I wanted to bring up is let's define video games. Let's define digital media. And a lot of the stuff that we're going to be discussing, I think of as a painting. And I get in a lot of arguments with mainly older people about video games and movies being art. And they say, no, it's not art. What are you talking about? That's just for fun.
Yeah.
Literally, it really is. If you go into
Yeah.
video game creation, the developers paint a picture 60 times per second.
Right.
60 FPS
Yeah.
per second, and they're doing that, and they're creating that, and it takes creativity. It takes a person that understands the beauty in the world, and same thing. A painter does the same thing. Creativity, understands beauty. He does hours and hours of painting, and then boom, there's the product.
Yeah, it's the same thing as scripting a movie,
Right.
or writing a book. A lot of these games that are being put out are in-depth, gripping, engaging stories that
Yeah.
had to be created by people. And so it's entertainment, it's art, just like anything else.
Yeah.
I think that the limitations that should be placed on it, especially as a Christian, are the pieces that people are missing. It's what people are not talking about.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, what we're going to get to is, I think the first thing as we navigate this landscape is talking about what should a Christian play versus what should a Christian not play.
Yeah.
Because on one hand, on one extreme side, you have people say, well, Christians shouldn't play anything. Video games are a waste of time. They're,
Right.
You should be just reading the Bible 24/7 or something like that. And then you have people on the other extreme side of the spectrum who are just, they don't care. You can play as much as you want or anything that you want, as long as you're having fun, because, life's all about you. And that is the things that we're here to combat. We're here to talk about what the Bible says and what you as a father and a Christian should be doing versus what you want to do.
Step one to battling this for yourself or in your household, we believe is from Christ. We believe from a biblical foundation, and you don't have to believe that, but a lot of the ideas that this country was founded on is Christian values, and some of those have discipline, some of those have moderation, and that's what we need to go into with this, and it makes sense. It makes sense for us to be more careful with video games than movies, video games than music, because of one thing. Video games are interactive. The interactive side of it draws you in even more. It immerses you even more. That is one of the reasons why you should like it and why it's so fun, but that is why we need to be so careful with it. So yes, this applies to movies, because movies, I would say, is a little bit a step above reading, because you can visualize it, you can immerse yourself that way.
Yeah.
Readers, don't get on to me for that. Okay, a hot take. And same thing with music. It's only with your ears. You can't feel the music physically or anything like that.
Right.
But with video games, you're controlling the character. RPGs, role-playing games, those you can like build your character up and do certain things that you wouldn't be able to do in a movie.
Right. Yeah, so let's get to the first thing. First thing a Christian should not play, and this may or may not ruffle some feathers in the Christian community.
I
It
think we
really
already ruffled feathers.
maybe
They're
we
already
maybe we have,
feathers
but
everywhere.
in the Christian community, this should not ruffle feathers.
Right.
But any game with nudity or sex scenes, you shouldn't play.
Yep.
Period. You shouldn't play that game. Doesn't matter how much hype is behind it. If it's the sequel in one of your favorite series,
Yep.
if it has those things and they cannot be turned off, some games have like an option where you can turn off nudity or something to where it skips those scenes or whatever.
Right.
But if it doesn't have that option, you should not play it.
Yeah.
You should play something else. And
Yeah.
sometimes that involves sacrificing something that you really would want to enjoy.
Yes, and also you do have a partner in this, and if you don't have a partner, you should get one. So I don't mean like a girl. You guys get married first, but if let's say you are single and you're struggling with video games, yes, you do need a partner. You have an addiction. Addiction, you need partners. You need people to help you with it, and don't be afraid to say it. You need help. You need to sort this out. So go get a partner, and tell them what games you're playing. Be honest with them, how much time you've spent on the game or whatever, or they're gonna ask you, or just like any other addiction. I don't see why this is controversial. It's an addiction. What else are you gonna do? But also wives. If you're a father, your wife is your main partner, and you need to be transparent with her with everything. What games you're playing. If there is nudity, it can be turned off, but don't leave it there. Even if it's capable of turning it off, what happens when everybody goes to sleep? Well, you can just turn it back on. So you need to make sure your wife knows everything, and she needs to hold you accountable. She needs to look at how much your time is spent on there. You need to be listening to her. If she says, "Hey, babe, you haven't really been spending too much time with me, and I feel like you're spending a lot of the time with a game," you can't disregard that. You have to listen to that. And even if it's ill-founded, listen to it and regard it as something that's worth hearing.
Yeah, and if you struggle with something like pornography or something like that, especially if you're a single guy who lives alone or something like that, even some of those games where you can turn off the nudity, you probably still shouldn't get those games, because that's probably going to be too much of a temptation for you. Knowing that it's there and you can turn it right back on whenever you want, that might be too much. And so even in some of those circumstances, maybe some of those you should steer away from.
So with all that being said, I think what we're trying to say is we're going to enjoy video games, entertainment, through a biblical lens, but we're going to wage war on the slob dads. Oh, wait, what'd you call them? Noodle arm dads.
Well, it's noodle boys.
Noodle boys.
They're some of them are dads, some of them are not. You could be not a father. If you got noodle arms, you never lift weights, you don't do nothing, you're a noodle boy.
Yeah. The gamers would say touch grass.
That's
what we're saying.
Go touch grass.
On the addiction that's with this, on media that infects every part of our brains, like sexuality and greed and crime. And what better example would there be?
Well, before we get to what you're about to get to, we should probably cover one more reason why a Christian should not play a game, because this plays a big role in the one that we're about to jump into.
Tell me.
Is needless, pointless violence. Not violence in general, because violence by itself, I don't believe that warrants not playing something. Just like I don't believe that watching a movie about a war would warrant not watching that movie. But if in the game, one of the main points or one of the key selling points is to just run around and kill people for no reason, and it's awful, bloody, gory death, then yes, there's probably something wrong. And it's even deeper. It may not be something wrong with the game, although I think you probably shouldn't play it. What's wrong is, why do you want to play that? Why is in your heart, why does that appeal to you? And so I think in that regard, I mean, we know why nudity and sex appeals to people.
Right.
Right? There's no real question there. We understand that. And some of that is good and right. You were designed that way.
Right.
But with needless murder and killing that is very violent and it has no meaning or purpose behind it, you're not trying to save someone or you're not killing bad guys.
Yeah.
Why? Why do you want that?
Mm.
That's a big question, I think.
But what is needless violence? And what we would probably say, to give you a scenario, if you are killing demons,
Well, demons deserve
way
to
to
die.
go. Yes, let's go.
Let's go kill them.
Yeah, kill evil. If there, and that's what I so appreciate about video games, is that there's often an evil person
Yeah.
that you have to take down.
Right.
And there's also, let's discuss narratives real quick.
Okay.
Narratives. If it's a narrative-driven game, if you're playing a character and the story says that that guy robs this, and it has you play out as the robber,
Yeah.
I wouldn't say that that's bad. It's kind of like watching a movie about a robber.
Yeah.
You're following a narrative. Now, if it makes it an explicit point that that is good, no.
Right.
But if it's, hey, this is what happened, he did this out of this and this and this reason, and you're exploring kind of the why somebody would do such a thing, and it's more of like a story thing, then sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
If it paints it in the right light, if it paints it in the light that, this happened but it was wrong, then yeah, of course. But and there's plenty of games that, like I just finished Spider-Man 2 not too long ago.
Yeah.
Great game. I
Great
thought
game.
I had a great time with it. A good portion of that game is swinging around the city, just beating the crap out of people.
Yeah.
Now that sounds bad. It's just those people are muggers and criminals.
Yeah.
So I agree with that.
And sand people.
And sand people. Yeah.
But
No spoilers.
Yeah, no, sorry. Oh my gosh. But at the same time, with these games that are violent, you're going to have certain things that maybe are kind of gray areas. Maybe the narrative isn't there. Maybe the violence isn't there. And if you find yourself come upon that, and maybe you're playing with it and you didn't know it was in the game, make sure you tell your kids that's wrong. You're a parent. You tell them, hey, those guys were bad, and this is why this is happening. We're not here to praise violence. We're not here to say, hey, this is awesome. These things are crazy. Yeah, we should only do this. Now, granted, again, if it's evil, it is awesome. Yes, use the sword to cut down demons, but let's not praise that. Let's praise the fact that evil's being taken down.
Right.
So moving on to that thing we mentioned, and you guys already know it. They already know.
I think they probably do. This game, both of the things that we just said you should avoid, it just goes to the extreme on both.
Yes, it's the max. It's the max, and that is Grand Theft Auto.
What?
Yes. Whoa. No. So here, let's.
But it's the most hyped game
it's the
of
most
history.
In history, and no, in media history.
Yeah.
This has exploded more than any other movie, any other podcast, anything else out there. So let's do this. I mean, did I say we were gonna
Let's talk about it?
No, did I say we're gonna wage war on GTA?
I think you just did now.
I think I just didn't. Oh, wait. No, I take a glove and slap GTA. Now, whether we'll win or not, I don't know. That's up to you guys. But let's see. GTA, it is the culmination of everything that is wrong with video games.
And the world.
And the world. The fact that so many people are drawn to this game and so many people are hyped out of their mind for this game is mind-blowing. I mean, it is like I said before, it's unprecedented, but oh my gosh, people get crazy about this game.
Yeah, and what's the overall theme? People play Grand Theft Auto for two main reasons.
Okay.
To run around needlessly murdering, killing, and stealing for fun.
Yeah.
And or to have sex.
Yeah.
So now maybe you're like, oh, that's ridiculous. They have a great story, or The gameplay is outrageously good, but what about all the other stuff?
Yeah.
And I'll be honest with you.
I'm gonna play it and not do those things though. I'm gonna be a good guy.
and
No,
I'll
you're
be,
not.
I'll be honest. Look, I have never played a Grand Theft Auto game, and I'm proud of that because everything that game stands for is opposite of what I stand for.
Yeah.
So of course I'm not going to play it. You should not either.
Yeah.
Just knowing you don't have to play a game to research the content of the game, which if you're a Christian you should learn how to do.
Yeah.
Research ratings, research the content before you go and buy the game. All it takes is a little bit of research into GTA,
Yeah.
and you will understand this is not a game that anybody should play,
Yeah.
but especially a Christian.
Not just Christians. Everybody should not play this game. Not because some scientist said, "Hey, it will mess with your brain." Because it is wrong. It is definitely wrong for you to look at nudity. That's a given. We already explained that violence, needless violence, is wrong in anything. Thinking about it, Jesus said, if you think about it, it is a sin. I am against it. So, should Christians play this? No, but Christians, we need to brace for impact. If you are on the fence about GTA, or if you are against GTA, we need to all band together. Because, again, we just waged war, so we need to band together and stand firm on this. And don't be one of those people coming at us in the comment section or whatever saying, oh, no, I'm going to play GTA, but I'm an adult. I'm not going to let my kids play it. Please. There's more kids that play GTA than adults. Mm-hmm. And how does that happen? It's because, well, parents are probably not educated on the game, number one. Number two, they don't care. Number three is they are not invested as much into their kids' lives as I think people should be. I don't put this game in your house because kids will find a way to play it. They'll go behind your back.
And maybe you're watching this right now and you don't play video games at all, but you have kids that play video games.
Right.
You, as a parent, you need to learn how to research games too.
Yeah.
And control the type of content that your kids are allowed to get their hands on, because that's where most non-gamer parents fail, is they just allow their kids to play whatever the thing is that is being played at that time.
Yeah.
And they don't put in the work to look into what these games are about and some of the content that is in them. And then their kids get exposed to all kinds of awful things that they should never be dealing with.
So I just looked at the waveforms for our audio. Did I yell earlier? I think I was yelling.
I think we're a little.
No, you were fine. You're totally good. I'm like, yeah, doing it now. All right.
He's passionate. He's passionate.
Why is this game so anticipated and popular? Well, I think if you give kids. Because, again, kids play this game more than adults. Mm-hmm. If you give kids freedom, it's going to be popular.
Right.
No matter what. If you make marijuana legal in schools, guess what's going to happen? A ton of marijuana. Kids love freedom. If you let alcohol just sit on the table, it's going to get drank.
Yeah.
It's not. This isn't a new concept or a hard concept to comprehend.
Yeah, and I think when the question comes up of why is it so hyped and so anticipated, really the reason is that people are evil and this game is evil, so they fit perfectly.
Yeah.
Now you might be listening to this and you're like, wait a second, people aren't evil. I know a ton of good people. Really, at the core of every person, like let's take a baby, the most innocent thing that you can think of.
I got one of those, by the way, 4
cute,
months old.
Cute little baby. I have a 6-month-old. Cute little
Mine's
baby.
cuter.
7 month. You will never have to teach your kid how to lie. Your kid will learn that all by himself or herself. You will never have to teach your son to hit his sister. You will never have to teach your kids, not to do any type of bad behavior or to do any type of bad behavior that you can think of.
Yeah.
Why is that? It's because at the core of them is evil. You have to teach them the right thing to do.
Right.
And sometimes you have to force them to do the right thing.
Yeah.
People are generally evil. That's why we need Christ. So, people are generally evil, along comes a game where you can indulge in all the evil that you want.
That you would get in so much trouble for if it was real.
Right. So now there's an avenue to indulge in some of your deepest,
Right.
disgusting desires.
Fantasies, yeah.
Fantasies. And that should be alarming to you. And if you're a Christian, you should not stand for it. It's not something that you should participate in or support.
It's the same concept as the problem with porn, because porn, you get to live out those fantasies. And that's the reason why, one of the main reasons why it's been growing so much is they're not able to do those things in real life, so they want to do it virtually. And video games, that's bad too. You cannot do that. It's going to ruin your mind. You're going to be less productive. You're going to be less social. And I was listening to another podcast, popular podcast, Ben Shapiro and all that, and they said that people that are millennials and younger people, Gen Z, Gen X, they're not dating as much. They're not having sex, and it's because they want to get virtual gratification. Well, that's what the opinion was, and I tend to agree. Now you have this virtual personality that you can fall in love with, or that you can look at for gratification or get compliments on, and you don't need to go out and talk to people. Same thing with video games. You can escape to this video game world.
Right.
And again, we love video games. We're about to get to a segment that's all about games that we can play next month and games we're playing now.
Yeah.
And we love video games. We're not saying to put the game down. If you're addicted, put it down. But if you are disciplined and just searching out for ways to a plan to set up for your family, yes, listen to us. Listen to us. Comment to us. We'll respond. We'll explain kind of what our position is, and we have an entire podcast devoted to this thing. We're never going to stop. That's how big of a subject this is. So, moving on. Let's get into some fun stuff.
I think we've dunked on GTA enough. That won't be the last time, but it was the first time.
All right, next month's games. Let's get into some gaming
Some fun
news.
stuff.
Let's go.
Let's serious.
All right, so I actually have. Both of us have a most anticipated game. Let's save that till last.
Okay.
Save that till last.
For next month, right?
No. Last year. Yeah, February.
Oh, okay.
Okay, yeah. We're on the same page.
Yeah.
Pacific Drive. So I am actually kind of a simulator nerd now. Didn't used to be, flight simulator and trucks. I forget what it's called, but you drive trucks around through landscape and try and get through it.
You like that crap?
I do.
Good God.
Well, Pacific Drive has some simulator aspects to it. So you drive around in your car. You find this car. You drive it around. You have to repair it. It's kind of a character. The car is, and it's supposed to get you out of whatever situation you're in. It looks pretty cool. It looks cool. There's a lot of storage mechanics, so you have to manage your inventory. You only have so much room in the trunk. Your wheel will fall off if you don't put on lug nuts, so on and so on and so on. What?
It sounds boring.
Dude, it's kind of, those simulator games, there's a reason why they're addicting. That's what a lot of gamers use, is they're addicting.
I guess once you get into it, maybe it's like really fun.
Yeah.
It's sort of like Power Wash simulator.
Yeah.
Like that's a really popular game to play, but when I hear about it, I want to throw up. I just would never play that, but if I ever did, I would probably play for like 2 hours.
All right, well, you give one of yours, and
Okay.
I'll wait until my...
All right, so Helldivers 2. Helldivers 2 next month, actually early in the month. I think it's the 8th of February. That is one that I've been looking forward to for a long time.
Yes.
I was a big fan of Helldivers 1, the top-down view and the co-op. I love co-op games, especially couch co-op games. So I was a big fan of that game. Now this one they've actually taken and now they've made it third person. So now from up top down to the actual third person view.
Did that give you some skepticism about the game?
It did. At first I was like, oh man, one of my favorite things about Helldivers 2 or Helldivers 1 was that it was the top-down view, and you could do couch co-op with it. But after looking at the gameplay and seeing like how everything comes to life when you're like down behind the guy,
Dude.
man, I am excited for that one. Me and him are gonna play it together.
Yes.
It has online
That's
co-op.
the most anticipated that I was talking about to save for last, but then you did it.
Well, I'm doing it now because it's so anticipated. It got jumped to the front.
Yes, the graphics are insane.
It does look
I'm
beautiful.
a sucker for graphics,
Yeah.
and I'll get to one that I really loved later. But I'm a sucker for graphics. It looks really good. It looks fun. It honestly looks that they nailed, just from the outset, just from the trailers, that they nailed the switch from overhead to third person.
Yeah.
It's almost like the same game. Like if I was to watch both, I would say, oh yeah, that's Helldivers, even though it's a different perspective. It's crazy what they've done.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a good one. If you haven't heard about it, look it up. I definitely recommend picking it up. I'm going to be on there playing it.
Yes.
He's going to be on there playing it.
Sorry, I keep looking down, guys. We got our notes here, and this is our first setup ever, so just bear with us. We're going to get better over time, but
Don't worry.
just to say the dates out loud, so Helldivers, February 8th.
I was right.
Can't wait for that. Let's go. Pacific Drive, February 22nd. And I got another one too, and this one I'm really looking forward to. Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons remake. So they're remaking it. You can already get the game. In fact, it was free on Epic, and that's how I got it. But on that game, it's the same creators as It Takes Two.
Really?
Same creators.
Is it co-op?
Yes, it is. So
Why have I not heard about
single
this?
player is insane. They're so creative. So if you have a controller, each joystick controls a character. So it's an overhead
Oh, wow.
game, and it's a puzzle game. It is fun though, and the story, what I played through it so far is good. I stopped playing it once I heard the remake was coming, and I'm actually really excited about it. I don't know how it's going to fare co-op. So if you just have one joystick you're moving around and that's it, but there's a jump mechanic and different things.
Oh, okay.
But I'm excited about that. And just to get a small one out of the way, I'm not super hyped about it, but Skull and Bones, I love
Pirate game.
Well, no, it's the same. What Ubisoft tried to do is they tried to take the ship combat from Black Flag, Assassin's Creed Black Flag, which was awesome, so fun, and make a game out of it. Problem is, they removed the entire RPG aspect of the game. There's still RPG elements as far as a ship goes, but you don't have character stats. You can't run around and assassinate people. You can't fight with your hands or anything like that. So it's only ship combat. I think that's a negative. I would have liked to keep the same dynamic as I can go on the land and kill with my hands, but also on the ships I can do that as well.
Right.
I don't really like that, but it does look like a pretty game, and if they do capitalize on it, then you should be good. By the way, all of the games we're mentioning has good ratings. You don't have to do that too much. Judge for yourself as far as the intention of the violence, of course, but everything has no nudity or sexuality that I could see.
Could find so far. And Skull and Bone is set to release, or is it? Yeah, Skull and Bones is February 16th.
Right. And Brothers, I forgot that one. Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons is February 28th, so the end of the month. If you're into that stuff, by all means, the rating's fine. There is language in there, and language, we didn't discuss language earlier.
Yeah.
But real quick, language is not a huge deal for me because I'm going to tell my kids that it's wrong.
Right.
They're going to hear a bunch of stuff. I don't want them to say certain things. And as long as you run them through the filter and make sure you give them a firm foundation on certain things as far as what is around them, I don't want them hanging out with a cussing as a sailor mouth or whatever.
Yeah.
And I don't want them talking crudely or anything like that. So
Yeah.
just as long as you make sure that they know and that their foundation is set and firm on, well, yeah, those things are bad.
Yeah.
They're going to hear that all throughout the world.
Yeah.
You cannot stop it.
Yeah, one day we'll probably do a segment on language
Right.
in video games and entertainment in general. That's probably a topic for another day. The last one is Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. That one is set to release on February 29th.
That one he's definitely getting.
That one I might end up getting because my wife, I'm pretty sure one of her favorite Final Fantasy games was number 7. So I'm that one I might actually pick up if nothing else for her to play. However, I'll have to be honest, I've never played a Final Fantasy game. So I don't I've kind of been following it, but it's kind of here or there for me.
Yeah.
So
Well, so that ends it for next month. We'll put up on the screen if you're watching this, but if you're listening, you obviously won't see it, but I'll put it in the show notes. The list of February games. There's more, but those are the ones we care about. Those are the ones that we think that you'll like. So yeah, definitely keep an eye out, and people are going to get mad for probably what we didn't include.
what we didn't include, yeah.
Helldivers, for sure, especially if you're a big co-op guy. My gosh, I'm excited about that game.
Yeah.
And it's something that we can do together. But anyway, so we recently, on his personal channel, we released a review. And I don't have a personal channel that I released a review on, but there's some games that we're playing that we love. And I'll let you go ahead and talk about Prince of Persia.
Yeah, so just a quick review. Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. I'll leave a link in the description down below to my personal channel and the review that I posted for it. It's a full review. But overall, Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown is probably the best side-scrolling Metroidvania that I've ever played. The combat in it is super smooth. It really blends like fighting game mechanics with the Metroidvania mechanics. So you can do like sick combos and like get enemies airborne, and then there's all kinds of abilities, almost like Street Fighter, that you can add into your combos. So the combat portion of it is super in depth. And it has a lot of difficulty settings, so you can make the game fairly easy and just go through it for the story content.
Yeah.
Or you can jump in and crank that difficulty up and really sweat and strain if you like.
What you like?
Yeah, I like to try and tackle
Work for it.
fairly difficult settings. So yeah, that it has a lot of options in the difficulty. The graphics are beautiful, kind of cartoonish, but I think they made it work for that particular game. The platforming is really challenging, but it's not so challenging that it's not fun. It's just the right amount of challenge to where you have to work for it, but you can get to the places that you're trying to go.
Right.
And the story overall, I would say, is probably its weakest point.
Mm-hmm.
However, I think that's really because everything else is so good. I don't think the story's bad. I just don't think it's on quite the same level as the other part. Of the game.
Christian stamp of approval, yay, nay?
Yeah, from a Christian standpoint, it has a complete release on that. It is. It actually doesn't have any blood. It's like very sci-fi, like
fantasy,
non-violent. There's no nudity or sexual scenes or anything like that.
Maybe some language, but
maybe some language. But overall, from a Christian standpoint, definitely a safe game to play. I would say it's good for kids to play as well.
Wow. Yeah.
And it's really fun.
Yeah, and just to stay on the same lane as far as Ubisoft is concerned, but man, Avatar, Frontiers of Pandora, I've been playing that.
Have you?
I've been going through that. I played Prince of Persia, and I haven't gone through it all the way through yet, but what I have played is amazing. Avatar is just as amazing. I haven't went through it all the way to figure out the full depth of the story. But that's not its strong suit. The strong suit, I do like the gameplay, but the strong suit is the graphics.
Oh, yeah.
It is, and same thing with Avatar, the movie. I mean, the visuals were crazy. People loved the visuals. The story was great, but the visuals, I think, is what got it so popular.
Way of the Water sucked.
Yeah, Way of the Water, come on. But this movie really... Or this game, sorry, that's how good the graphics are. It really nails the feeling of what Pandora is supposed to give you. The same, like when you were sitting there in awe of how well they did the world and the animation, Same thing is true here. Now, granted, I haven't played this on a console. I have a PC that I play on, and it has a 4070, so it's a pretty nice TI. So I guess it's a pretty nice PC. It's not the best, but it can get 60 FPS, 4K in this game, and it is amazing. It is amazing, and it's co-op.
Oh, really?
Which he hasn't played with me at all.
I don't
But
really,
your schedule's full though.
yeah, I have too many other games to play,
Yeah.
and I don't really care about Avatar.
Backlog problems.
And, my gaming PC has a PS5 in
Yeah.
it, which is the whole thing because it is a PS5 and
Yeah.
I don't play on PC. So, but yeah, I'm not really interested in Avatar. Although my daughter plays it and she really likes it. So
Once you weren't interested in this guy, hasn't played. Fan of Sony pony all the way, but he hasn't played Ghost of Tsushima ever.
I've just started.
and
I've
yeah,
actually just
dude,
started playing it.
Dude, I've been telling him about this game ever since 2020, which was when it was released back in COVID.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Yeah, you played it just for a little bit and then quit." Man,
Yeah,
is he eating his words, bro?
It's a great game. I'm actually about to soon on my channel. I'm going to release kind of my thoughts and impressions jumping into it for the first time in 2024.
Yeah.
And man, it has not disappointed.
Yes, it is great. But that's about it for the games we've been playing. I mean, there's here and there. You know, I play a couple games with my son. I might mention that at some point. You might play a couple games with your wife. Baldur's Gate. You play with Baldur's Gate. Walk through real quick before we end because people are going to ask us questions. But Baldur's Gate.
Baldur's Gate 3 is not something you should play alone if you're a male. I play with my wife, so it's a very safe environment. You can turn the nudity off.
Yeah.
You can toggle the nudity off, and me and my wife play it together. I do not recommend that you play it, again, if you're a single male. Don't play it around your kids. And a lot of it's choice-based. So, like, a lot of the sex scenes and stuff that are in it, you actually can just not ever see them if you just pick the right choices. Like in the conversations, you know, they'll ask you to sleep with you or something. All you have to do is say no, and you won't ever be in that cutscene at all. But that's why I say, you know, if you're going to play it with your wife or somebody like that who will hold you accountable, because otherwise it's real easy when you're alone to just go ahead and, you know, say yes.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. But apparently it's the amazing story.
The story is awesome. The gameplay is awesome. When it launched, it had a ton of bugs, super annoying. But they've since fixed a lot of those problems. And the game itself, I can understand why it took home so many awards.
Yeah.
That last year. Game of the year. But they did. They went real heavy on the sexual side of things
And the woke
and
side.
Yeah, and that was disappointing.
Yeah.
But like I said, if you have a safe environment and someone to hold you accountable,
Your partner.
I would say you can play it.
Yeah.
But definitely be careful.
Yeah, not around kids. It's just like there's certain war movies we wouldn't recommend, you know, you watch with kids or whatnot.
Right.
But anyway, that is the show.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us on this ride. We're going to have so much more content for you guys. We're going to have, we're going to kind of teach you guys the best way to go about and navigate this landscape of digital devices. If you do have a iPad baby, stay tuned. Not for long. But
we're going to spank that.
yeah, exactly. But we appreciate you guys. Please leave a comment down below on what you guys think. I'm sure you guys will have some disagreements, but we're all for it. We're pretty firm in what we believe, and we're confident in how to explain our position. So please leave some comments below, because that might end up in a future video. You never know.
We love the discourse. If you have an opinion or you disagree with us, let us know. We'll probably do a segment on it.
Yeah, and like, subscribe, because I think that this show is much needed, and we really want to help parents and people struggling with device addiction to get through this and build a foundation in which these things can be enjoyed without sinning, and that is possible. But yeah, we appreciate you guys. Thank you so much.
See ya.
Cut.